The beautiful thing about that night was that you really realized there is space for absolutely everyone in this industry, regardless of your angle of involvement in the industry, regardless of how you're making a living in the industry or how you're involved in the fishing community. There's room for everyone. We're all different, and we all celebrated our differences that night, but also came together to really honor and support each other.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing in the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, coming to you from the Lance Chuck Camper Mobile Podcast Studio, Master Captain Angie Scott.
All right, everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast. I thought it would be really fitting this week as I just wrapped up the series of interviews that I did down at the ICAST convention down in Orlando, Florida, to kind of recap the Women in Fishing Meetup event that I talked so much about leading into ICAST. And so I have a special guest on with me to talk about that. And she's not a stranger to the show. Debbie Hanson, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me back, Angie.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on. You were part of the group with BB Harrison and Dee Kaminsky that we kind of got together leading up to this event and shared ideas. And I mean, BB really is the superhero in pulling it all together.
Yes, and definitely big thank you to Native Watercraft and also to the Woman Angler and Adventure for supporting the event, because without having the support of companies like Native and the Woman Angler and Adventure, these meetups wouldn't be possible. It takes time and a lot of effort and a little bit of funding to put on. So Thank you for the support as well.
Yeah, so this year we kind of upped our game from the year before, where it was more of a kind of a spur of the moment thing that we put together. And this year we put a little more planning into it. And I think it turned out just absolutely amazing. How about you?
I could not agree more. I have never seen so many women get together in one place at one time and be so encouraging and supportive of each other. And some of the wonderful retention ideas that were shared, I know we wanted to touch on that too. It was just, I think, so valuable just to see such a positive group of women in this room, just from all different aspects of the industry, from the biology side, from the tournament side, fly anglers, bass anglers. Everyone really came together, and it was wonderful. Can't say enough good things.
Yeah, and just for people that aren't familiar, so the year before we did a get together, and it was kind of like a sit down, order your food, dinner. It was a small room, so everybody was kind of wherever you sat, you were kind of stuck there. This year we had a bigger room at Maggiano's, and it was kind of more of there were tables, but you could walk around and mingle. And I just thought that was such a great format to be able to move around and talk to different people. And it was, I heard from a lot of people after the event and the next day walking the floor at ICAST that were there that said that it was the highlight of the entire week. So
I heard the same things, Angie, and it's just amazing to hear that. And I really felt like there was just such an overall positive vibe in that room, and I heard a lot of buzz about it afterwards. So yeah, big thanks to BB for all the time and effort she put into it. And hopefully moving forward, this will sort of inspire and encourage additional meetups in the future so that we can have similar types of events to help support women in the industry overall.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the themes that we picked, or the main theme, I should say, was retention, because that's still an issue for women in fishing. Like, we keep getting new anglers coming on board, but then we're not really retaining them to where they're buying licenses year after year. Talk talk a little bit about your take on that.
Yeah, I think, there's so many different things that are, always reaching out for each one of us at any given time with regards to responsibilities, and those of us who have kids and families and maybe, busy jobs. So there's a lot of different things that are competing for our time, obviously. And I think that retention is just such an important, it's just such an important theme. And we really had some great ideas come up during the meetup. I know BB put up a bulletin board, and a lot of the women shared some of their ideas on index cards. And then she pulled all of those ideas together. And some of the really outstanding ideas that I heard were just provide some specific classes to provide safe learning places for women by women. In other words, have classes or fishing meetups that are organized by women, that are specifically for women. Just being real with your posts on social media so that newcomers to the sport are understanding that not every time you get out on the water is it going to be this amazing day where you're catching all these fish. Sometimes it is about just being out in nature, the experience of decompressing and just spending time on the water with friends and relaxing. That's can be a big part of it. And just overall building community. It seemed like a very common theme. Equal opportunity for pay in the industry, and just continuing to encourage each other, working together, building the camaraderie, and reaching out and honoring each other's strengths. Those were some of the good ones that I heard.
Yeah, one of the ones that I found was really interesting was somebody mentioned, and we talked offline a little bit about this, but when I've had guides on in the past, this topic seems to come up, especially the male guides that I've had on the show. They tend to always mention that they like their female clients because in general, most of them tend to be better listeners than the male clients that they've had. And they also tend to be more patient. So it seems like if there's like, say, for example, a husband and a wife couple that they're taking out, typically they say that the women are the better angler, like they catch more fish than the husband because they're more patient. There's some other things that they mention, like they're more sensitive, like can feel the bites better maybe. But this particular person who shared this, she said, call out people when they perpetuate stereotypes. Women are not better listeners. Women are not more patient. Good listeners are better listeners, and patient people are more patient. And I thought that was interesting. I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, and I think it's very interesting. And to me, it seems very valid, right? Because we're each individuals, and while as a whole, maybe generally speaking, you might have a group of people that may seem more patient, but still it may be a positive stereotype but a stereotype is still a stereotype, right? So that's it's a very interesting point. And I know that sometimes, just speaking from my personal experience, I have felt as if, you're out there on the water and someone says, oh, well, women are just so much more patient, or they're so much, better listeners. And to me, it kind of seems as if, well, yeah, you're making that generalization, you're making a broad generalization, but also there could be men who are very good listeners, and there could be men who are very patient too. So I think a lot of it comes down to just the individual, and to treat people as individuals, because good listeners are better listeners and patient people are patient.
Right. Exactly.
So, and there's probably a lot of women who at times, I know myself, I'm not always the most patient person. So it's a really good point. I think definitely something worth thinking about.
Yeah. And even the lady that shared this comment she went on to say, I am not patient. And so that just goes to show you not all women are patient, So,
yes. Yep.
So, one cool thing about this is we've already had a follow-up call just recently to kind of go over everything and recap the event, but also to talk about how can we actually help implement some of these, some of this feedback and actually continue to make an impact, a positive impact. And so I think we shared some really good ideas the other day and have some good action steps going forward. And one of the things was BB created a Facebook group that I can share the link to. So you listeners, it's open to anybody. It is a closed group, just so you don't have to worry about what you say just stays in the group. But I'm sure if you ask to join, you will get accepted to it, but just to kind of continue these conversations and actually implement some stuff. So,
yes, and I think that Facebook group is called Angling Women in Action, correct?
Yes, that's it. Yep.
Yes. And I agree. I think it's wonderful, just like you have your online Facebook community, Angie, for the Women Angler and Adventure. It's nice to have those safe places where you can share thoughts and ideas amongst other women in the industry and just bounce ideas off of each other and network and organize meetups and find additional opportunities to work together and to get together to support each other.
Yep. And one of the posts in that group is this list of retention ideas. So if you want to go check out and read through the full list and then of course comment with, any additional ideas that you might have, we're just constantly going back and looking at that and seeing what we can do to really improve and make a difference. And one thing that we talked about too is like making next year's meetup even better if that's possible. So
yeah, and just extending a thank you from all of us who were involved to all of the wonderful women who came, who helped us spread the word, who brought friends. And hopefully for next year, some of those same women who came this past year will continually help us to get the word out and also hopefully bring a few new friends.
Yeah.
Maybe there will even be some opportunities for women to bring some of their friends who maybe don't fish, but who would like to get into fishing or who have been thinking about getting into fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that will be an additional encouragement for them.
Yeah, and we didn't mention this, but we had probably about 80 women show up to this, and that was right where we were capped out at the room that we reserved. So it worked out really well, but hopefully maybe we'll be able to grow it a little bit more for next year. And it kind of, it made a pretty big splash, I think, at ICAST. Word got out, and we already had some other companies reach out about being sponsors for next year. So it's so cool to see people wanting to support women in fishing. The tide is definitely changing. In South Dakota, hunting is our shared legacy, something everyone can be a part of. That's why we're focused on making our fields a welcome place for everyone. See how at huntthegreatestsd.com, where you can hear stories from sportswomen and learn what makes South Dakota the world's pheasant capital. While you're there, check out public land maps, hunting blogs, and season information for one unforgettable fall. Learn more at huntthegreatestsd.com.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And what were some of the conversations like that you heard throughout the evening, Angie? Did you pick up on any really great conversations or have any good conversations yourself with some of the ladies who were there at the meetup that night?
Well, one exciting one I had, and I don't want to go into too much detail just because we haven't really hashed anything out yet, but there was a lady there that works for a major tournament organization that is really motivated to do a better job at giving opportunities for women in specifically the bass fishing world. And I was really excited about that conversation that I had. And I can't wait to follow up and see where we can take that.
Yeah, that is very exciting. And just seeing some of the shifts and the industry overall and the change. Oh my gosh, I think about the fact that I want to say this past ICAST was my 10th ICAST. Wow. And seeing such a huge change in the industry overall, where you used to go to the show and if you saw maybe a dozen other women that were out there, in the industry, aside from, those who might be working at the booths, there weren't that many. And now It's just amazing to see how things have changed. And there's a lot more men out there who are coming to ICAST and getting involved in the industry, and a lot more women who are in the industry working in professional roles, whether it be, as I mentioned earlier, in fishery science, or if they're working on the tournament circuit, or they're out there competing in tournaments. It's just really, really awesome to see.
Yeah. Did you have any exciting conversations or overhear anything that you thought was really impactful?
Gosh, oh geez, I'm trying to think. There were so many.
We had our
and everything went by so fast.
We had our Palomar. What was it called?
Our Palomar Punch.
Yes, our Palomar Punch, which was delicious.
Yeah, we had a special signature cocktail that BB came up with using all of her amazing creativity and yeah, Dee Kaminsky did such a great job making sure everybody got checked in. So It truly was all about teamwork that night, and everything really came together so beautifully. And I just saw so many women who were circulating around the room. I know you mentioned that earlier, Angie, but I don't think I saw anyone sitting down at a table for any longer than maybe like 10 or 15 minutes, maybe when we had a speaker, they might have sat down. But other than that, people were really circulating around the room, getting to know each other. And that was honestly just one of the best parts about the night.
Yeah. And I know Dee had invited a local lady that came out. So she wasn't actually attending ICAST, but she came to our meetup, and she didn't really know anybody. And it was kind of cool. She put herself out there and introduced herself to us. And of course, then everybody was talking to her and stuff. And it's just kind of cool to see that it was such a safe, inviting environment.
Yeah, the atmosphere was very safe and inviting. And there was a bulletin board where a lot of women shared their business cards and contact information so they could follow up and reach out to each other after the fact, just to stay in touch, which is just, again, such a positive thing, because as much as we can work together and get out there on the water together, the more likely we are to continue to grow our presence in the sport. And I think to continue to grow an overall welcoming environment in the sport of fishing overall for women.
Yep. And as you were saying that, I was looking at that list of retention ideas, and one of them goes right along with that. So celebrate other women, cross-promote, less competition, and more partnerships. We are sisters. And I think that's
Amen.
So important. So
it is. It's so important. And the beautiful thing about that night was that you really realize there is space for absolutely everyone in this industry, regardless of your angle of involvement in the industry, regardless of, how you're making a living in the industry or how you're involved in the fishing community. There's room for everyone. We're all different. And we all celebrated our differences that night, but also came together to really honor and support each other. And that was just a wonderful thing. So it'll be exciting to see if we can continually hold events like this, or even hopefully plan some smaller women's meetups in different local areas so that some of the women who met each other that night can continue to get together and connect.
Yeah, and I know this is early stages, but we're already talking about doing something this winter down in your area. So that will be a lot of fun if we can pull that together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether it's just organizing a couple of charter fishing boats and inviting, a small group of ladies, keeping it somewhat simple, or, getting together for a morning of kayak fishing and then going out to lunch afterwards. I think there's a lot of really simple ways that we can keep the momentum going that was ignited during the Women in Fishing Meetup this past year at ICAST. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing how we can do that and keeping it moving, keeping it going forward.
And hopefully, something like that will inspire other ladies in their area to do similar get-togethers. I know one lady that wasn't able to make it. She was at ICAST for a bit, but she had a dinner that night, wasn't able to come to our event. But she's already reached out to me saying that just hearing about it was so inspiring to her that she's trying to start some sort of women's group in where she lives in Alabama, just to get together. Here and there and go out fishing as a group. And so it's great to see that we are making an impact. And yeah, I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And I know that when I shared some of the social media posts on Instagram, there were some ladies in this area that reached out too. So there's definitely a need, and there's definitely a lot more women out there beyond even those of us who are involved in the industry. So there's just lots of opportunities. And I think just knowing how there's so many amazing women who are just go-getters out there in the fishing community, I have no doubt that they're going to pick up the ball and run with it and empower the next generation of female anglers and really make an impact and get as many more women involved as possible in the sport. So definitely exciting.
Yes. Well, great. Any other last thoughts you want to share about it?
We covered a really good piece of it. I know we were talking earlier offline, Angie, just about the fact that according to the special report on fishing from 2022 that was put out by our BFF and the Outdoor Foundation, there were 19.4 million women in the United States who went fishing in 2021, but there are still some challenges with retention. So the fact that we asked for some of these retention ideas, and who knows, maybe people, when they listen to your podcast, they can post some additional ideas that they may have in your Women Angler and Adventurer Facebook group or on your Instagram posts, and share some additional ideas so that we keep getting this feedback and keep making these events and our interactions and experiences in the industry even better and better moving forward, so we can continue to improve.
Yes. Yeah, and one thing, I didn't really mention either is there is nothing else really like this during ICAST, and I think it's so important to have that outlet. It's once a year, but hopefully, like you mentioned earlier, we can start having these other similar events with other different things like ICAST, not on as big of a scale, but more local fishing shows and things like that. I think this has been a testament to that. This is definitely something that's needed, and women need to have that time to be able to network and reconnect. So
definitely. And I think some people feel more comfortable in smaller group settings. Some people feel more comfortable, feel very comfortable in large group settings. So having a variety of opportunities and ways to get out there and interact is really important. So I think that's another big plus of hopefully these meetups getting to be a bigger part of the equation moving forward in our local communities and just keeping people plugged in and sharing thoughts and ideas and triumphs and challenges that they're going through overall. Because like you always say, Angie, we're better together.
Yes.
And it certainly makes things feel a lot more welcoming and approachable when you feel like you've got a solid network of other female anglers and that feeling of community. So
absolutely. Well,
that's all I've got.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on with me to kind of recap this, and we'll just keep on, looking forward to the future.
Absolutely. And the future is looking bright.
And hey, and I think we might have got through this whole thing without saying awesome.
I know, that's our signature word.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
I'll have to listen back. Anyway, thanks again.
You are very welcome. Thanks so much for having me. And again, thanks to you and BB and Dee for making the Women in Fishing Meetup possible. It was an awesome event. There we go. I had to insert it in there somewhere. Thanks, Angie.
From billion-dollar ad budgets and arena naming rights to tens of thousands of retail locations, big wireless providers spend big to appear like they're your only option. How do they afford it all? That big bill you get at the end of every month. Mint Mobile had a different idea. Instead of brick and mortar overhead, Mint Mobile is online only. What does that mean for you? A whole lot of savings, because wireless plans from Mint Mobile start at just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You'll save enough that you can get a brand new rod and reel for the upcoming season. For anyone who just hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan, and you can even keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. By going online only and eliminating traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings on to you. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That's mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.